You guys remember how expensive graphics cards used to be, right? At least those of you who live in the United States. Right now you can buy new cards for about MSRP or slightly below that now, which is something we haven't experienced for just about a year now, a little more than that, due to the fact that people were buying these cards in large quantities. The demand shot up, so the price shot up. That's simple economics. We'll talk about more in this video right here. But what I want to talk about in this video are the few sellers out there trying to get full asking price for their used hardware. So if Joe Schmo went out in 2017 and bought himself an RX 580 for about $500 during the peak of the mining craze when demand was at its highest, then he's going to expect a decent return in mid-2018, right? If he paid $500 for it a year ago, it's got to be worth somewhere around $500 now, right? But that's not how markets work, especially used markets. Right now, you can buy new RX 580s for under $300. In fact, 8 gig cards are going for as cheap as about $240 now on sites like Newegg and Amazon. Pretty incredible. I have one link down below that I do recommend you check out if you're in the market. But this guy here is trying to get around $500 for this card, and I'm sorry, there's no chance that's ever going to sell. Well, I say that, but I'm sure I'm overestimating the human intellect of some out there. So the reason why this video exists is to bring to your attention the fact that graphics card prices have come down significantly, but also to point out those out there who are still trying to make a quick buck, trying to con you into spending way more than you should for a used graphics card that I'm sure has been through the ringer, especially if it was mining, right? We're talking full power loads running 24/7. That's what mining cards typically do. Those are the cards I would recommend staying away from, especially if the people who are selling them want, full-on retail price or above retail price currently for the card that they've been just abusing. So let's check out the ad and see just how cringeworthy it really is.
The Sennheiser PC37X is a new take on gaming headsets, prioritizing both a sleek design and optimal comfort. That's a tricky combo there. Audio is top notch as always, that's no surprise, but the microphone here is a thing of beauty. You're actually listening to it right now. Not bad for a plug and play headset. Click the link in the video description for more details.
So here is the Sapphire Nitro RX 580 8 gig card in all of its glory, and it better be glorious if he's asking $450 for it mid-August 2018. So I want to start off by reading the description of this card because he straight up lies in this card. I mean, it's outright misleading. I'm just going to go ahead and call it a lie because I've tested this card extensively and there's no way that it can do what he says it can do. So he is definitely trying to mislead you, and here is how. Sapphire Radeon Nitro RX 580 graphics card. This video graphics card can play anything at 4K resolutions, max out settings, no problem, 8GB GDDR5 overclockable edition. First off, every graphics card that's relatively modern is overclockable, so I don't know why I bothered mentioning that. It's great you got an 8 gig buffer, though the 580 struggles at times to max out its buffer. 8 gigs is still future-proof, if you will. But this statement right here, can play anything at 4K resolutions, max out settings, no problem. This is pure garbage. I mean, I guess you could say any card that supports 4K can max out settings in game, but you're gonna have an absolutely terrible frame rate. So at least this is at least misleading at best. At the worst, it's outright lying. It's falsifying info for the purpose of trying to sell a product. And you probably, I mean, this would ultimately rest in the hands of the buyer to do due diligence and confirm that this card actually can do what the seller says it can do. But it's lying. It's misleading, and it's trying to get people to buy a card based on false information. In my opinion, this should be illegal. So I actually just finished messaging the guy. I didn't think he'd respond in time for the filming of this video, but his response was the following. I sent him the link for the product that you could buy on Newegg for around $280. I mean, you can buy these for as cheap as $239 here with a $20 promo code. This is from ASUS, but basically saying, hey, like, I can get these new for $250. Are you still asking $450 for this? And his response was, okay, then do you want it for $250? And I said, well, I don't want to pay $250 for a used card when I could buy the same card new for that price. And then he responded something along the lines of, well, it's basically new, only lightly used, but okay. And that's all I got from him. So I assume he's not coming down off his $250 asking price now. And that beckons the question, is it worth buying this card used when you could get one new for maybe 20, 30 bucks more, the exact same model, or one even cheaper than this that uses the same, GPU, but just is manufactured by a different company? And the answer is no. You should never buy a card like this used if you can spend the same amount of money and get one new with a viable warranty that likely hasn't been, put through torture workloads like I'm sure this guy used. He says he bought it for 550 bucks. I'm sure he bought it in the middle of the mining craze, and he may have actually used this card for mining. So we'll see. This is just, this could be just a miner trying to liquidate his assets, right? Trying to get rid of the cards that he's no longer using or interested in using, and trying to either make a return on it or get as much of his money back as possible. But I'm sorry, the market is not on your side. But in the midst of this statement here that he bought it new for 550 bucks, another issue that I have is that he says, this is so vague. Easily beats GTX versions. This is the latest and greatest. Okay, well, which GTX versions are you talking about? This is like your cue that he's uninformed about the card itself. He's uninformed about the entire competition going on between Nvidia and AMD. If you're trying to sell a product and you're willing to just make bland statements that aren't backed by anything, then you should probably, as the buyer or potential buyer, do a bit of research into these statements to verify or deny them. And a GTX version that he's talking about, I'm sure, is a GTX 1060. But even then, I mean, the 1060 is in general a better DX11 performer. The 580 does a little better with DX12. There are more stream processors, different things that work with those different APIs. But in a nutshell, I mean, this statement here is not true. Easily beats GTX versions. I mean, yeah, okay, it beats the 1050, it beats the 1030, but the card that this competes directly with, the GTX 1060, it does not easily beat. There are no games out there where this card absolutely destroys the 1060. So another statement, again, that's just misleading, trying to make the sale, and frankly a little disgusting that he's willing to do this and try his best to take advantage of someone who isn't willing to do, again, an ounce of research. Down here, just specifications. He copied and pasted all this crap from websites, so it's really not interesting. But these statements up here, I just feel like come on, dude, this is a con at best. Now, as a side note, these cards have definitely come down in price. If you aren't into AMD cards, let's say you want the 1060 instead, just because you're more familiar with GeForce experience, what have you, these cards they're a little more expensive in general. The 1066 gig cards are still costing around 300 bucks. If you can find a 1066 gig for under $300, I'd say that's a pretty good bargain. Here's a 6 gig here for $299, and it's $289 after a $10 rebate. If you want to account for rebates, oftentimes it takes forever to get your money back from these things. But this is much better, right, than what it used to be. So graphics card prices have definitely come down, and some people, including this guy right here, just don't want to believe that that's the case. So if you ask me what I would offer this guy in exchange for his used RX 580, I'd say not a dime over 200 bucks. That's around a 20% discount for a used card, and we don't know how heavily it was abused, if it was used for mining or strictly gaming, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to what you feel your money is worth. If you're willing to risk everything for the sake of not having a warranty to save 40 bucks, then go right ahead. At the end of the day, it's your money, you decide how to spend it, but don't do this guy any favors. Don't give him more than the card is worth new. To me, it makes absolutely no sense. All you're doing is making him feel like he's justified in his asking price, and I want to tell this guy that he's just completely detached from reality. It's funny to see people ask for these prices. They think that they can get their money back despite what the new market is telling them. But at the same time, it also just makes me angry, because I know that somebody out there, especially someone who doesn't watch this video, right, and listens to 2 minutes of it to know what I have to say about it, someone might actually fall for this, right? So this video is more of a PSA. Most of my Craigslist videos are to show you guys that there are people out there trying to take advantage of you. And if you don't do an ounce of research, you will be the person to fall victim to this scam. I think that's what it is. I think it's an outright scam, and anybody who's not willing to take the time to look up on Newegg or Amazon the fact that these prices have come down significantly in the new market deserves to be scammed. That's how I see it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you thought it was cool. Dislike it if you feel the complete opposite. Click that red subscribe button if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more science content. This is Science Studio after all. Thanks for learning with us.